Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tom Burns and welcome to Story Time with Tom Burns. Now, in my 100th video special, you'll probably remember that I asked you what would you like me to do as like a celebration for 100 videos, I got a comment asking me if I would tell some stories about my life. Now, my life isn't nearly as interesting as some other YouTubers. I mean, definitely won't be, but I've got some stories. And I'm going to tell two stories in this video. And the first one is going to be time I very nearly, the time I had a near-death experience. This is basically what happened. So I was in school. I think it was my first school. Was it first? I think actually it was my second school, but I think it was like my first year, my second school. So I think I was only like 11, something like that, 10, 11, something like that. And I used to live like quite on the far end of the village that I lived in. And like kind of on the way to school were my mates' houses, so I used to call on them before going to school, knock on the door, and I went to all my friends' houses, did that, and we would walk together to school in a group. Then I think there was only 4 of us, and there's only one part of the journey to school where I have to cross the road. And the road I have to cross is it was quite a busy road. It was like a main road, and I made the decision that I wouldn't wait for the green man to come on to tell me to cross. I made a decision that I was going to run across when the red man was still on, knowing that at any second a car comes flying past because they go so fast on that road. But I thought, you know what, I'll go for it. So my friends, they were trying to talk me out of it. They were like, no, Tom, don't go for it, it's not worth it, wait for the green man. I said, no, I said, I'm gonna do this, I'll be fine. So, I wait until I've got a bit of a gap. I then run, I then go to run across the road, but all of a sudden I hear this car coming. It came from nowhere. As I said, the cars on that road very, very fast. They can come from nowhere. Literally, maybe 1 second there's no car. 5 seconds later, a car comes flying past. And that's why it was always best to wait for the green man on that road, because the cars could come from literally nowhere. So I went to run across the road. I heard this car coming. My mates are shouting, Tom, there's a car coming. I literally, to stop myself getting hit by this car, because I didn't see it so much because I was focusing on the other side of the road, trying to get to the other side of the road, but I could hear it, and I literally, you might not believe this, but I literally just kind of dived to try and miss this car, and the car literally I felt the breeze of the car going past my foot. It was literally that close from hitting my foot, and I went on the floor. I dived to get over to the side of the road, and then I landed on the floor. Luckily there was grass on the other side of the road, so it was a bit of a softer landing, and I was on the floor for a good 30 seconds because I was a bit shook up from how close I was to getting hit by that car. And the thing is, the cars are going that fast on that road, there would be no chance I would have survived that. So I was like shaking and everything like that. I was on the grass. My mates wait until the green man comes on, which literally about maybe 30 seconds after I decided to run across the road, the green man came up, and my friends crossed the road. They came to me, they rushed to me and said, are you okay? I said, yes, I'm fine. They picked me up, they helped me get up, and we went on our way to school. And I've never forgot that. And it's made me, ever since that day, it's made me really think about, how to, it's made me think about how, careful you need to be when crossing the road, and just how quickly things can go wrong when you're crossing the road if you're being stupid. But yeah, I mean, not exactly the most interesting story, but it's a story nonetheless. I mean, it was, you hear some of the other YouTubers, for instance, Blasphemous HD. He tells these stories about when he was almost shot, when he was almost killed by being shot and stuff like that, and when he was robbed and stuff like that. And I haven't got any of them stories. I mean, I'm not as exciting, but I have got stories. Now, I could end the video here and save the next story for the next story time with Tom Burns, but I'm going to give you two for the price of one. 2 stories in one video, since we're only 6 minutes into the video. So this next story, and I apologise if I get a little bit emotional about this, but the next story is the story of when I lost my granddad. Now, I lost my granddad when I was 6 years old. Which sucked. It really did suck. I mean, I wish I had more time. I wished I had more time with him. But luckily, I've had my grandma around, still around now. So I've been very lucky in that aspect. But I remember it vividly. I mean, there's not a lot of stuff I remember about my childhood, but one thing I do remember about my childhood vividly is the day we got the phone call to say that my granddad had passed away. And other things I remember about my childhood is majority of the stuff is, the time me and my granddad spent together. It's weird because I really don't remember much about my childhood, much about my school days and stuff like that. But the one thing I do remember from my childhood days is the time spent with my granddad. So it was just like any other morning. I was 6 years old. My mum used to have to go to work at 7 in the morning, so I used to go to the childminders for about an hour and a half before she would take us to school, which was only like a 2-minute walk from the house. So it was like 2 minutes. Just around the corner, and basically we gave my gran my mum's mobile number. My gran had, and she also gave my gran my childminder's number just in case of an emergency and she couldn't get hold of me on my mum on her phone. And the childminder, she obviously knew about it and was fine with it. And so basically, as I said, it was like any other day. My mum dropped me off at the childminders, and the phone rings. And this is like set about 5 to 7 in the morning, something like that, because my mum has to get to work for about 7:30, so she has to drop me off for about 7. So this is about 5 to 7. She's just dropping me off. She's about to shoot straight out the door, as she always does. Give me a kiss on the head. She's about to shoot out the door. And the phone goes, and we're wondering who it is. As I said, it's like 5 to 7 in the morning. So my mum kind of stops just in case it's my gran. Because, who else could it be at that? Well, it could be any... my mum was curious who it was because it was so early in the morning and it was unusual for someone to ring so early in the morning. So she stayed, and my shopmanager, she picked up the phone and said hello, and it was my gran on the phone, and the childminder passes my gran over to my mum on the phone, and the next thing I know, my mum is in bits. She's crying. I wonder what the hell is going on. I wonder if my gran's ill, if my auntie's okay, if my cousins are okay, everything's going through my mind, if my granddad's okay, I don't know what's going on. I'm only 6, I don't fully understand, these things. So my mum says to my showman, look, we're not, I'll swear down. My mum says to my showman, look, Tom is in staying with you today, we've got to rush up to Manchester. So I'm wondering what's going on. So my mum jumps us in the car. She rings work as we're setting off and says she's not coming in today. She's got to rush up to Manchester. And from where I lived, 2 hours away we were from Manchester, which is, if you didn't know, was in England, in Britain. If in case you didn't know, if anybody else in any other countries will watch it, and we lived about 2 hours away from Manchester, and I have to say that day we got to Manchester quicker than I've ever seen before, with good reason, obviously. So we get to my grand's. I still don't know what's going on. My mum's not mentioned anything to me. She was crying pretty much the whole way up. Not like full on crying because she's just gone straight on the road, but it's like a constant kind of whimper. I wonder what's going on, and we get to my grand's, and we go into my grand's house, and my gran and my auntie there, they're crying. My uncle's there, he's crying. My eldest cousin's there, she's crying. Me and my other cousin, me and him, we're just both standing there. I'm 6 at this time, he's 8, we don't really know what's going on. My eldest cousin, she's 10, she understands it, she understands what's going on, but me and him, we don't know, we haven't been told anything yet. So we wonder what's going on, and eventually me and my other cousin, we're sat down in my grand's lounge, and we're explained what's happened. My mum and my auntie are in there, trying to hold it together, and they explain to us what's happened. But unfortunately, they couldn't hold it together, and my uncle had to come in, and he composed himself, and he came in and he explained it, what had happened and what was up. Because, as I said, for a good hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes travelling up to Manchester, I didn't have a clue what was going on. Not a clue. Because my mum wouldn't say anything. And my other cousin, he didn't have a clue because my auntie wouldn't say anything to him. My eldest cousin, she was told, but my other cousin wasn't. And when we're told, me and my cousin, we just I don't fully understand it, obviously, because I'm 6, so I'm at that age where I don't fully understand death and stuff like that. But my cousin, he's 8, he's at the age where, just about understanding about death and stuff like that. And he starts crying, and that makes me upset, so I start crying. And it was so sad. And then I asked my auntie, where's Grandma? And she said, she's in the kitchen. So I run into the kitchen, and she's crying, and me and my cousin, we give her a big hug, and I still don't fully know what's going on. Well, I do, but I still don't fully understand, quite understand what it is that's going on, because, as I said, I'm only 6. So she said, and my gran said, oh, thank you boys for the hug, I needed that. But that wasn't the hardest part of the story. My mum took me to the side and tried to explain it in, not full detail, but more detail on what my uncle did to try and make me understand what was going on. And then I understood, and I started crying. And then the hardest thing I think I've ever had to go through was I didn't see, but my mum said they're taking Grandad now. They're taking the paramedics are taking him, and my mum wouldn't let me see him. And I'm quite glad, because I wanted to remember him, how he was, and not how he was when he was alive, not when his body just there like that. And my mum, my gran, we just all huddled up together, and we were all, obviously devastated. And then we stayed up we had to go back because I had to go to school. But then I was taken out the day before my granddad's funeral, and we went up to Manchester, and my dad came with us this time. My dad wasn't with us the first time, but my dad came with us the second time to come to the funeral. And we went to the funeral, and I sat next to my dad. I don't know what possessed me to sit next to my dad. Not that that's a bad thing, but I don't, if anything like, I don't know. It's weird because I would usually sit with like my cousins or something like that, but I chose to sit next to my dad, and I'm glad I did. And I can still visualize it to this day. I'm sitting like this. I look up like that, and I see tears streaming down my dad's face. The first and only time I've ever seen my dad cry, and that made me cry even more because I didn't realise how much my granddad, how much my dad respected my granddad, and seeing him cry like that, I didn't fully understand, respect, but, I could see, just looking up, seeing him cry, that, he was just as devastated as the rest of us, and it really hit home then. The saddest day in my life was my granddad's funeral. There's yet to be anything that has topped that, and there probably never will be. Maybe my grand's death, because I'll obviously fully understand it because of my age now. But until this, up until this day, it is still the saddest day in my life, and I never want to ever go through anything like that again. But I know I have to. The thing that made it the thing that made it even worse was the fact that my gran chose the song "I Will Always Love You" by Whitney Houston for his goodbye song, and it wasn't just like a song for her, from her to him, like "I Will Always Love You." It was like all of us. It was like a song for all of us saying that to him, because we will always love him. There's no doubt about that. We'll never forget him. He was a great man, the best granddad you could wish for, and I just wish I had more time with him. That's why, I spent so much time with my gran over the years and spoke to her so much on the phone when I haven't been able to go and see her, just so I know when she's gone, I know that I spoke and spent as much time as possible as I could with her. Sorry. I know I get emotional. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that first episode of Story Time with Tom Burns. Just thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.